Do you make your own shoes? Of course you don't, because it would take ages and the results would be awful. It is way more economical to just go and buy them. So if you are thinking about buying an investment property on your own and you think buyer's agents are expensive, this video is for you. Okay, so let's compare how it would look like doing it yourself versus hiring a buyer's agent. So in terms of cost, obviously doing it yourself is for free, and hiring a buyer's agent could be around a $20,000 fee. Okay, so far DIY is winning, and let me tell you, this is where DIY winning streak ends. Okay, now let's compare them in terms of time invested. So if you're doing it yourself, especially if you don't have the network, resources, and experience, it's going to take you a lot of time in terms of due diligence, paperwork, negotiation, etc. So let's say around 60 hours more or less is going to be the average. Now, obviously, if you leverage a team, you will have to spend a little bit of time in meetings and paperwork, but it's probably not going to be more than 10 hours per property. Okay, so you're already saving 50 hours of your time. Now, the next one might seem a bit silly, and it's maintenance, but the reason I've included it is because, as silly as it might sound, this alone can already pay back your fee. For example, now if you're not very experienced on doing due diligence on properties, you can be lucky and buy a property that is perfectly fine and requires no maintenance and there's no big structural problems, or you could be unlucky and buy a property that has underlying big issues that could cost you up to $50,000 or more. Okay. Now, doing proper due diligence, you can identify any potential issues or maintenance before committing to a property, and make sure you commit to a property that has just a few things to do. And then you can reduce that range to something like under $10,000 in maintenance, which is quite reasonable. So the reason I wanted to include this one, which might sound silly, is because this alone could justify your fee and pay your fee back 2 times over. Okay, so the next one is, in my opinion, the most important of it all, which is related to the actual performance of the property, which is the growth, right? So if you do this on your own, you buy a property on your own, you buy a random property without any actual knowledge and data, you are likely to fall somewhere around the national average, which is around 6% historically, 6% growth, okay? Now, if you choose a good buyer's agent, you can easily achieve 2 to 3 times that amount of growth in the first few years of buying a property, which are the years that matter because you can leverage the compounding effect. Now, historically, my clients have achieved over 20% yearly growth on average on the properties I've bought for them, but let's just be conservative and let's use 12% just because it's double 6%, okay? Now, let's say we use $500,000 purchase price as an example, and we turn those growth percentages into dollar amounts of growth. 6% of 500,000 would be $30,000 of yearly growth, which is not too bad. And frankly, it's quite optimistic considering that if you buy on your own in the wrong location, you can also achieve negative growth, okay? So we're being generous here. And if we do that for the 12%, that is a yearly growth of $60,000, which is $30,000 more than doing it yourself, which means that in growth, you make your money back once or twice just in the first year. You might make your money back once or twice just reducing maintenance risk, and you have saved 50 hours of your time, all of that in the first year. So this is why having a good buyer's agent is actually way, way, way cheaper than doing it on your own.